Hello, I'm Jordan Flood. I'm here to present for my podcast, To Be Real. That's what I wanted to call my podcast. Although this first debut episode is dedicated to my final exam for Arts and Cultures Modernity, I wanted to set this up as an introduction to who I would like to become in the media space and just using all of the tools in which and resources that NYU gives to me as a college student in 2025. So, without further ado, this episode I would like to highlight the dynamics of Black culture and how the social implications to how Black American culture is dismissed and initially frowned upon in relation to how we utilize it or white America utilizes it and subsequently repackages it to represent what white America finds digestible in terms of appropriation and later conversion to American culture. I also wanted to talk about certain media effects and the things in which we consume and how those shape us as people that have like identities. I wanted to go over some more general and theoretical notions surrounding historicism, historical materialism, the role of art, literature, film, and how those tools help shape us in our history along with society. And then probably another question I wanted to go over was um, why should we care about events that happen from far away or if they happened a long time ago? Like, why is that important? So, yep, to just talk and okay, low key, have to admit that I'm nervous because I don't know what I'm doing low key, but it's okay because everything works out. Let's jump into it. So, the first question I will be answering is how does the media I consume shape me as a black individual? And am I shocked or surprised at the negativity associated with black culture? To answer the first piece of this question, how did the media in which I consume shape me? I consume a lot of queer, black, liberated, and freeing content. I also consume dreary and like political content as well, just because like I'm very intrigued with how society works and what dynamics play and how we live our everyday realities. And just being a young person in college, I think my mind is always perturbed at some of the systems that are installed within this country continue to perpetuate certain acts of social violence and erasure of culture. So, with all of that being said, the media in which I consume, I think, would be a little bit of revolutionary, radical, but all at the same time like fun. I am very witty. I love comedy and I love just being able to laugh and watch certain things that resonate deeply with me. So yeah, I think that pretty much answers the first part of the question, but I wanted to continue with the second piece. Am I shocked or surprised at some of the negativity that I find associated with Black culture? And that is a little bit of a stretch. Sometimes I'm shocked, and then other times I'm not shocked at all because of the things that I've seen growing up. I'm now 20, and in the past 10 years, I've seen media evolve into something that was not unsurprising, but in many ways very different to how the generation before mine and other people deal with media. Um, Going off of that, I just wanted to again reinforce how Black people throughout American history have constantly been subjected to the commodification of our identities and the benefit to white American culture. Lisa Nakamura's piece on media acknowledges how racial and ethnic identities reinforce in online communities can reform themselves as imagined communities, which paints a narrative on unrealistic circumstances to the real world. Nakamura inserts an argument made by Adorno where he dissects the notion of culture for profit and the phenomenon of the aesthetics being fundamentally an issue to the quality and public good of identity. I think that's how that works, yeah. So the critique within identity as a commodity shows how black culture is directly tied to mass media and the tailored consumption for the masses of white people and anyone who wants to stay in tune. I think that honestly, with the way that this country is going, let's see, so much to talk about. The examination of the erasure in Black culture is significant to this course, especially because it reveals how the oppressive forces in this country have consistently found insidious ways to not only demean and berate Black people in American culture, but extract and exploit the culture for all it is worth. And the globalization of Black culture also comes into question when we reflect on how all of the diasporas of Black culture have experienced a heavy blow in terms of exploitation, misappropriation, and erasure of our cultures collectively. Um, to go off of just seeing that social or hearing from me that social violence, Professor Martin, I wanted to take to one of the general questions that was asked within our course from a few days ago. And the first one is, what is the role of art, film, and literature as a tool to learn about histories in our societies today? So when I think about this question, I think about the current pop cultural events that are um, being illuminated within our society at this very moment. So I wanted to talk about Cowboy Carter, Beyonce, Sinners, and Dandyism, which is a reclamation, which of all three of the topics in which I just named are reclamations of misappropriated culture being taken back and being liberated from the misrepresentations that may come of that when you exploit, extract, and take away from people, I guess. So, one, Cowboy Carter, Beyonce has been on a sort of a renaissance act of arts in terms of Black people, whether that is in queer spaces, whether that is in rock and roll, and in this depiction, country music. Country music began as a genre originated by Black people, but over the century or so, it has been repackaged into white Western, cowboy, yeehaw, Tennessee art, for lack of better words. But that hasn't been the case. And in this genre that we have now, Black people are excluded consistently and demeaned and undermined when they take the time to express and extend their contributions to country music. And it isn't taken seriously. There are many country artists within this decade that are not even from America. They're from Canada, they're from Australia, places that do not directly reflect cowboy, western, southern culture. And it's strange how it's taken and misrepresented or shifted into another audience for another identity group. I think with talking about art, film, and literature, and how we use art to reflect the times, I think it's important to also know that when we use art, we extend it as a means to reinform, reinvigorate, and reclaim what has been taken. And you also see this within dandyism. So Professor Marcos Martin, if you didn't know, dandyism in the 19th, I want to say 18th to 19th centuries, was black peoples or black slaves were, to put it in lack of better words, black slaves were given the opportunity to make certain key distinct features to their their attire as they were adjacent to their owners and slave masters. They had the want for, I don't know how to put it. It's like to liberate themselves from what white people or what European Eurocentric Western culture was trying to integrate and forcefully assimilate black people into, and they retook that and made it their own. And you see more so of dandyism coming out into the 20th century, in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, where black people wore these extravagant, luxurious pieces of clothing and reclaimed it in a way that only would say that black people did not know how to dress, or they dressed in rags and they dressed in these inappropriate, misaligned forms of clothing, whatever that it may have been at the time, I don't know. But I think it points to a better or a greater question of how are people of marginalized identity groups consistently shut out of places or things of everyday culture? How are they shut out of these things and kind of like left with how to again persevere and configure how they move in society, if that makes any sense. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say that. And then also on literature, Toni Morrison, I think Toni Morrison does a great job in The Bluest Eye with talking about the cultural beauty, social, economic standards of white America at the time, and what that did to degrading or depleting black family unit. So in Toni Morrison's Bluest Eye, you have Piccola and the entire, I forget the family's name. I want to say McIntyre, but I know it's not the McIntyre family. I forget. But it depicts the black family unit as abused, hurt, trauma, pain-filled individuals that only know how to operate from an energy of melancholy, you know? And it also talks about the disillusions of beauty and how that affects the average black woman and wanting to sort of emulate white features and blue eyes. Again, the bluest eye. Piccola wanted to be a white girl, but she couldn't be a white girl because she was a black girl. So just seeing that again, our identities becoming stripped, all at the same time becoming a commodity, is such a paradox, and it's very interesting to see as a phenomenon, but also confusing because it comes with so many different nuances and intersections with how like certain things like that come into fruition. But since I'm coming to the last 2 minutes, I just wanted to speak on the last question, I think, which is more so on what is the difference between historicism and historical materialism, and how do we see this opening up in the world as far as where the country is going or the course of the country. In my opinion, I think we're heading into not only a oligarchic, oligarchy. We're heading into an oligarchy. Let me say that. We're heading into that direction, but I also think there are remnants, and if not direct lines to fascism. And who gets to tell the stories? Who swipes and wipes clean the slate of the perpetrators who pose themselves as the victors in any given situation, and how they are beginning to do another cultural cleanse to sort of back up their ridiculous and absurd idea of nationalism that literally makes no type of sense because it's all in keeping this moral high ground, but it's actually quite barbaric and vicious to me to not see people as people and to forget your empathy within these things. But I'm sorry, because I'm at 15 minutes, Professor. I'm sorry, but honestly, again, the historicism piece, understanding the progress and who has the facts, who has the right to tell the stories, or in terms of historical materialism, who actually survived, who actually experienced these atrocities, and who gets to repaint, extend, express the multiplicities and memories of what they experienced, whether that is through paintings, whether that is through photographs, films, short stories, art, music, whatever you use to utilize your voice in a way that gives you mention to who you were and how you lived, I think is very important. And then I know, again, Professor Martin, I'm so sorry. I just really am excited to begin my podcast, and I wanted to use this again as a jumpstart, but I just wanted to take one more minute of your time, and then after that, you can cut it. I just wanted to say the last piece. Through white consumed media, Black women's care and passion becomes portrayed as the Black woman trope in the stereotype of all Black men being thugs and gangsters has over time solidified white America's perception and perspective that Black people are uncivilized and unimportant to American culture, which is a form of the victors taking a whole new narrative and twisting it into such a misconstrued notion and whatever you want to say, whether that's rhetoric, whether that's just like fabrication of whatever. And then using that, the other narratives that sabotage the intimate aspects of Black culture, including our orality and our literacy, through the use of our folk tales, our religious sermons, rap, hip hop genres, which is again emphasized in movies like Sinners. These uses of historical materialism, I feel, is what's going to continue to keep us in a way that pushes us forward to a certain note of progress. I would like to speak more on it, but I have run out of time. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. It is called To Be Real. I'm here, Jordan, young, hot, trying to be as scholarly as possible and just make sure I have a good impact on the world. Thank you so much for listening. Love you, XOXO.